In this video tutorial we're going to look at how we export a map in ArcMap. Now we looked at this briefly in the previous lab, but today we're just going to look at something a little bit more complicated. We're going to look at both exporting a map but also including in that map a separate smaller little map just showing the region in which we're focused on. This can be incredibly useful to people who want to have a greater understanding of the exact region that we're talking about. So your GIS should at the moment look something like this. We have our Meath early Christian sites and monuments delineated by different symbols. We have the River Boyne flowing through it. We have the outline of the counties of Ireland. So what we want to do is we actually want to export a map which shows the sites we identified as part of our double spatial query, so the sites which are 250 meters from the River Boyne within the World Heritage Site. So the first thing we're going to do is switch off our Meath early Christian sites and switch on the sites we identified as part of our double spatial query, and we can see here how they have been highlighted in our region. Let's use the zoom tool to zoom in to the area. Now at the moment it's a bit of a colourful mess, to be honest, and isn't very clear exactly what the message we're trying to get across. So let's change around some of the symbology just to make this a little better. Now the core and periphery zones of the UNESCO Heritage Site are useful and worth keeping. Let's change the Sites and Monuments record so that they're just a little bit less in your face. Let's give them a colour of grey and let's decrease the size somewhat. This also helps to identify exactly where these points are. The larger points cover a larger area, and therefore you don't tend to see more precisely where they are in relationship to each other and other features. Let's leave it at 4 and click OK. And our sites there have changed symbology. Now the counties in the background here are also, probably the colour of them is also interrupting with what we're looking at. So let's change them to a much more neutral colour. Or let's, where are we? Ireland counties. Go into symbology, properties. Okay, and then we click on symbology. And this gives us the options as to how we display things. So before we switch from features to categories, we're going to actually go back to features. We're going to select single symbol, and we're going to create just a very neutral symbology where we have a fill color of just white, and we'll leave the outlier as a kind of greyish color. Let's also label these just so that people looking at the map know exactly where they're looking at. Let's label it according to the name of each of the counties. And we can see that now we have the Meath County labelled and we have Louth labelled, but we still have the border between the two. We'll leave the river symbology as it is. I think the thicker blue line is a nice easy way to delineate the two. But now we need to switch into layout mode, which is the mode we go into when we want to output a map. So we can do that either down here by clicking this layout view button, or we can go into view, layout view. And this gives us this familiar A4 piece of paper screen. So let's move around our map slightly just so that we have our relevant map in the center of it. Zoom in a bit just to make it a bit clearer. And we can see we have this black border around the map. That's fine, we can leave that as it is. So the first thing we're going to do is add our kind of map elements, and these are 3 things. We need to add a north arrow, we need to add a legend, and we need to add a scale bar. So we do this by clicking the insert button, and then we can click north arrow. This will give us a whole load of options. I always think it's best to keep this quite simple. A map is used to display certain types of data. The kind of styles we choose for stuff like this should be kept to a minimal. That standard black one, we can then drag that up to the top right hand corner. Let's also insert a scale bar. And again, we'll just stick to the default scale bar which we're given. We'll drop that down here. Now you can see at the moment that this has an unknown unit sign. That's just because we haven't specified to the GIS exactly what our units are. Now let's we can do that in a couple of ways. The first is to go into our layers up here, right click on layers, open properties, and this, rather than changing the properties of individual styles, actually changes the properties of the entire layer. So the map we have here is being in units, that's fine, and display similarly, let's move that to being in meters as well. And go OK. Okay, so we can see down here that it's moved from being 2,000 unknown units to 2,400 meters. Let's change that again, and this time we want to change it by clicking on within the property. At the moment that's reading meters. That has minimal use, so let's change that to being kilometers. So whereas the layer is being displayed in meters, we want to actually display this scale bar using kilometers. Okay, excellent. So now we have a scale bar where we have it displayed in kilometers. Sometimes when doing it, features can disappear behind other features. If that's the case, just right click on them, and then you can, generally speaking, bring them to the front using the order tab, and then they'll stay in the front. Excellent. Same down here. Great. Leave that. Don't worry about those things. They'll come back in when we actually come to exporting the map. The next thing we want to put in is a legend. So we can click on Insert and then Legend. And the things we want to put in here are our sites and monuments, so the dots, and also the UNESCO World Heritage Site boundaries, because those are the most important things we want to actually get across here. So let's leave in this here. Let's take out Boyne River, and let's take out Ireland Counties. Next. Continue with defaults here, and click Finish. Okay, and let's drag that down there. Now how does that look? Well, it's nice at the moment, but again, let's change around some of the symbology just to make this look a little clearer. Let's first of all change around the point data we see here. At the moment in our legend, this is named after the file which we created. We want to change that just so that it's a little bit clearer, and we're going to do that just by right-clicking on this, on the file itself, going into Properties. And then if we just change its name here, so SMR sites within 250 meters of the Boyne, and click Apply, we can see that in our legend that's actually changed that. It's also changed it in our layer tree over here, and where it hasn't changed it is it hasn't changed the underlying name of the file. So if we were to go and add this data again, it would still be called the 250 underscore SMR from Boyne thing. Next thing we want to change around is the World Heritage Site information here. At the moment it's displaying exactly what it displays in the tree, which is fine for the buffer and core area down here, but we're really not all that interested in this other values table. What that would do is anywhere which has a value different to these two, it would give it that purple, but obviously we don't have that in this case. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, Properties, and within symbology, where we would normally change the color, there is a little tab above here, and we can click that off and click Apply, and then just click OK. So by altering the nature of the files in here, in their symbology and in their properties, what we've been able to do is we've been able to alter how the sites are actually displayed here. And similarly, if we wanted to change this bit here, we'd go back in, go into Properties, go to General, and we're going to change the name again. So we'll leave it as Boyne. We're going to call it World Heritage Site, and click OK. Right. Okay, we'll continue this tutorial just in the next video lab. I don't want these to drag on too long. And the next video lab we'll look at inputting just a separate little box in the corner and showing the location of where we're focused on in the island of Ireland, and then we'll look at exporting that as well.